Klitschko and Dr. Iron Fist, Vitaly Klitschko, Shannon the Cannon Briggs, and Butterbean, Cruiserweight King Jai Opetaia.
We're here with Gareth A. Davies, well lit up in 4K. How many lights have you got on, Gareth? Because you look.
Three tonight, and I'm having a little bit of Pancho Datos tequila as well. Very nice brand, and they're very nice to me. They send me bottles, so thank you, Pancho Datos. We allowed to drink on your podcasts or not?
No, you're welcome to drink whatever you want, mate, as long as you don't start slurring your words and say something that you might regret.
It's my first tequila, and it's well after 9 p.m.
Okay. Well, I was thinking it's been a while since we managed to catch each other up because
Indeed.
we've both been all over the place. But I was thinking the fans are missing a bit of a Q&A with you, Gareth. So there's so many questions that are always in the comments, and I've been going backwards and dragging some old ones out that I never got to ask you. So I'm going to fire them at you. A bit of a fans Q&A.
Go on, then. Go on.
So the first one, I think there was an interview I did with you. I think you had some sort of can in your hand, and somebody wanted to know, was that a can of Strongbow that Gareth was drinking? Would it have been?
No, I don't drink cider. I did once years ago. I used to love the old cloudy cider from down in Devon. X-Set, and they were all had names of rockets, types of rockets, because they were so potent. 2 pints of that, and you were staggering home at university. No, I'm not a. You know this. I'm not a drinker of beer or cider. It's the clear, silver or blanco tequila is my tipple,
How
and
much,
I do like a tequila, as you know.
how much is that bottle that you've got? It looks expensive.
I don't know. They sent it to me in a gift pack,
Okay.
so I really don't know how much it is. They've talked about a sponsorship, but hasn't we haven't got there yet. But it's one of my favorites, Pancho Datos. I do like a Patron as well. I know you don't drink, but I do like tequila. It's a bit of sustenance for me.
Okie doke. Gareth is a rock star womble.
Oh, that's probably true, isn't it?
That's on my.
But whatever the rock star womble is, but you can see some of the people I admire in the background. Ozzy Osbourne, the Ramones, that is there, and I've got Steven Tyler over there. When I move this around, you can see. I've got Lou Reed over there. They're all by an artist in Las Vegas called PJ. I do like to collect a little bit of musical art, but Womble, I don't know about that. But is that as in the Wombles of Wimbledon?
I'm guessing so.
That's fine. If that's what I'm seeing, probably because of the fuzzy mop
Yeah.
and the mainly black attire. But no, I do love my music, definitely.
Jason Harry says Gareth should bring out his own range of essential cool stuff for cool men. Eyewear, gold chains, little black book, something for the weekend. Gad is the optimum of style.
Oh, that's what a nice comment.
I'm not sure if he's taking the piss.
No, I think he's being nice. I think he's being nice. I think he's a gold guy. As you know, I'm a silver guy. I like silvery type things, as in the Patron silver and silver pens and silver things. I'm a silver guy very much. I haven't got any rings on tonight, but I take that as a nice comment. We develop our style over many years, and I mean, I'm just myself, and thank you for a very kind comment. And you keep going with your gold, is what I say.
Well, the next one is funny enough about the jewelry around your neck. That T around his neck, is it from the Fury fan merch catalog 2023?
Which tea?
I think it's referring to your chain around your neck.
I've got a few chains
Yeah.
actually.
Are
No,
any
I've
of
got
them from
three
the Tyson?
crosses for people who I'm very close to in my life,
Uh,
and that's something I got off one of my daughters. It's a Sicilian horn, and it's supposed to give you protection. I've got a couple of other silver things. I'm not wearing them at the moment because the chain is very long, and my chains are getting a bit tangled up.
okay.
But
Can you
it's
clarify? None of them chains are from the Tyson Fury fan merch.
I'm not going to commit to that, but I'll leave them guessing. But but I doubt it. But I doubt it.
Okay, someone here is predicting what you do on a New Year's Eve. He reckons that you would probably be playing Scrabble with the local bowling club whilst searching videos of Tyson Fury's previous fights, and then you'll probably step onto the paddock and smoke a large joint.
Um, all I'm going to say is one out of three of those are correct. And and I go to bed early generally on a New Year's Eve because I always go clubbing on New Year's Day.
Oh,
It's been a bit of a ritual for the last few years. I go clubbing to Trance Sanctuary where they know where I know the DJs and always have a rollicking time there and drink a lot of tequila actually. That's my New Year. That must have been an old question.
yeah, I think it was. Well, I got one here. I don't think I've asked you this one before. Does Gareth conduct these interviews stripped from the waist down for the cheap thrill of it?
No, the truth
I
is,
feel like you need to prove it now,
the
Gareth.
truth is, I've got all the windows open here to the paddock, and because it's really hot tonight, and I am in shorts. I'll be honest, but I'm not stripped from the waist down. But I know people always used to joke about that when Zooms came in during lockdown. Everyone wondered what everyone was wearing on their bottom half. But no, I've genuinely got some shorts on, and I'm not stripped from the waist down.
Okay. Last one, because I want to wrap it up with this one. We're trying to think which is the best one. Gareth is a type of guy who attends eyes wide shut parties with members of his local Masonic lodge.
Oh no, not at all. I'm not involved in any of those kind of groups, thankfully. It's not my bag. But it's a very funny question again. What great questions this week. Why do they all have these views of me having this dark, secretive life? It's fascinating, really.
I feel like,
I think what I do is work a lot, and if not, I'm paddleboarding and cycling, as you know, and going down to the sea and trying to enjoy the sea as much as possible. But no, my life is very much revolved around the fight world rather than the Masonic Lodge world.
okay, let's move on to the boxing before we start getting hammered in the comments. I'm gonna get straight into it, Gareth. We've made it to fight
I've
week.
missed you. I've missed you. It's very entertaining, actually.
Yes, it is. We would like to keep it different, because you do 100 interviews a week,
About 10.
yeah, there's people out
I'm
there.
going to be doing a lot this week with John Fisher, though,
Oh, yeah.
with Johnny Fisher fighting, and I know there's already a load of people that have asked me to do interviews about. I mean, you tried to stir it up at the press conference.
I
You
was
got
trying
me
to
in with
increase.
Mark Tibbs, who was very was very generous with his time, but. I remember that was the day I got stared down by the entire family at the press conference in near Tower Bridge.
Yeah, I was trying to make peace for Euro, but it never worked out. But we've made it to fight week, Gareth. In short, give us your brutally honest opinion what you think happens on Saturday night. We've seen, like I said this to Domingo the other day, we saw Dave Allen did put a lot of weight on you. I think he put a couple of stone on, and I questioned him about that, and he said he's still comfortable with that weight and he feels like he'll be able to burn it off during his camp and he'll be the best he can be on fight night. We know Johnny's been in Vegas, he's been in Spain as well, training at the Old Ingle gym in Fuerteventura. So, looking at all these things, based on what happened in the first fight, what's your honest opinion? What happens Saturday now? Saturday, and also, is it a 10 rounder or a 12 rounder?
I think it's a 10 rounder.
Okay,
But it's a very good question. I think it's a 10 rounder. We can look it up right now if you want.
yeah, because that could make a difference, couldn't it?
I think it would make a difference.
So
Let's have a look.
let's see if I can
It's a
find
very
that.
good point.
Let's see if I can find that before you.
Okay.
Oh, you've got to log into BoxRec.
No, I'm straight in. It's a 10 rounder
Okay. 10
at the
rounds.
Copper Bosch, of course. Look, I'm on record very vehemently as saying I thought the judging was disgraceful the last time. I thought Dave Allen won clearly by a round, but clearly. I've also said several times, and it falls on deaf ears, that Johnny Fisher did very well because he stayed in it to win it, even though I didn't think he won. It was just my opinion, but it was nothing against Johnny. It was just I thought the judging was terrible. Um, we see that sometimes. This time I've got an inkling that he's going to be slightly more cautious and he's going to box better. And I think he'll win a tight points decision this time. But you can't rule Dave Allen out. He's a heavyweight veteran now, to over 30 heavyweight fights against some very big names. He's been in against a lot of guys. He's talked a very good game this time. I imagine he's being paid very well this time. I know what he got paid in Riyadh, but it's not for me to disclose right here. But I think he's probably getting double this time. I think Johnny gets the job done. I applaud him for taking the rematch. We're all fascinated by it, I think it's fair to say. On a great run of British fights, Kakachi and Lee Wood last weekend, and 2 weeks ago, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank, some great British fights. I think Johnny Fisher's just going to do it this time. I've enjoyed his dedication to the task, like you say, 2 different countries for training camps outside the UK. He's got really serious this time. Dave Allen's has owned all the gloves are off type stuff and has talked a great game. But Johnny has to win this time. And I think I don't think he's bitten off more than he can chew, but I do think he's going to have a tough night against Dave Allen again. I'm not ruling Dave out, but I think Johnny Fisher wins on points. Close decision.
Okay.
What about you? What about you?
I think it's going to be a 10-round war.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the best way I can describe it. 10-round war, which could go either way,
Yeah.
based on how the first fight went. Um,
Yeah.
Next thing I want to talk to you about, Manny Pacquiao. So I spoke to Maurizio Suleiman last week in Riyadh, and he basically mid-interview dropped that Manny was fighting for the WBC title. I had no idea this was even in play, but he said it's all done. The Vegas Commission have approved all the medicals. It's happening, and obviously, I asked him about the justification of it. His justification is that he's a legendary WBC champion, and the WBC have done this in the past. They did it with Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler, and his point is, if they never did that, then they wouldn't have got that legendary fight that people still talk
Yeah.
about. Sugar was out for 3 years and came back, and obviously, Manny's going to be out for 4 years. So, 2 questions for you: Can Manny beat Mario Barrios, and is it the right decision?
Yeah, and if you think they created that situation in recent times to mask over it by calling it champion in recess, and Vitaly Klitschko came back after 4 years, didn't he, and was the champion again. Um, no, full disclosure, I'm a complete Pacquiao file. You know that. I covered, I think, over 20 of his fights live, and I went all over the world with him to the point where I was in his flat in Los Angeles at one point, as well as being in the wildcard gym on a Friday when there were queues of hundreds of people waiting just to meet him, Filipinos.
What
He's a
happened in
god
his
in the
flat?
Philippines.
People are going to want to know, Gareth, what happened in his flat.
In his flat, there were about 50 people. I was invited there, about 50 people. There were like 10 people in the kitchen cooking, people sitting everywhere, people singing gospel, Manny in and out, people telling stories. It was like walking into a village. It was a big flat. There was an armed guard on the door. It was really fascinating. I got to spend a lot of time around Manny Pacquiao when he was being trained by Freddie Roach. And Amir Khan was in that axis in that period as well. It was a fascinating time. It was pre-YouTube, actually. Not pre-YouTube, but pre-videographers, journalistic
Proper
videography.
journalism.
And I used to use a flip camera. And I did loads of flip camera interviews. Remember the flip cameras?
Yep.
And we used to segment them at the Telegraph into 2-minute interviews. Telegraph TV had just started, and they got hundreds of thousands of views. These 2-minute videos, we split them into. So I was doing it before you were, believe it or not. Even before this is even before Coogan and IFL TV and all the other big channels that you're all out there now with masses and masses of subscribers. All of you around the million mark, the very best of you. And as the paradigm has shifted, but it was brilliant being around Manny Pacquiao. And nevertheless, I don't like the fight. I don't like it on health grounds. I don't like it that he's coming back at the age of 46 against a young stud who will go into a war at welterweight. He didn't look convincing against Ordenis Ugas 4 years ago, who he lost to. Of course, people didn't expect him to lose when it was championship time. I don't see the meritocracy in allowing a guy who wasn't even ranked, who's had one exhibition fight in the meantime, coming back to fight. But I understand why they've done it, and it's because it projects the WBC. It projects Manny Pacquiao. He's involved in a Senate vote tonight as well. I'm not sure if he's been voted in or not, but it's today. So it may change things because it's July the 19th, and he may have senatorial, congressional duties. So let's see what happens with that. But I've got to say, as I say, I preface this with all the love and admiration I've always had for Manny Pacquiao, who is the biggest and most expansive, transformative story we have in modern boxing, from shantytown, sleeping on a cardboard box, to running for president of the Philippines. It's the biggest story in boxing. In the Philippines, he's like, I always use this analogy, he's like Bex and Lady Diana rolled into one. He's that big a star, absolutely loved by the people. And their ancient gods, the Filipino ancient gods, are called Maharlikans, and people think he's descended, some of them, from the Maharlikans. No, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with him coming back late in his career, late after his career, at the age of 46, and I don't agree with them giving him a title shot.
Okay. I'm guessing that means you don't think he wins?
I don't think he does win, no.
Okay. You mentioned Amir Khan there. I'm gonna fire a quick question at you because I've asked a few people this week. We saw last weekend Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Canelo, Skull, all of them not letting their hands go, getting paid stupid amounts of money. And obviously, for some of them, people are saying, they might have been gun shy because of the previous fights and obviously knockdowns, etc. But I found an example of Amir Khan when he fought Canelo. He went into that fight being dropped, having been dropped numerous times in his career, having been stopped, and he threw more punches in the 6 rounds he did with Canelo. Bearing in mind that he was his highest paid fight as well, so he could have potentially just run around the ring for 12 rounds if he wanted. But he didn't play it safe. He tried to win, threw more punches than Garcia, Haney, and Skull in the same amount of time. So what does
In
that?
5 rounds.
Yeah, what does that tell us?
I know it's staggering, and well, it's a bit like if you add Canelo, Skull, and the three main events in Times Square. I think they've counted the stats. There were more punches thrown in one fight, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., than those 4 fights. And also, CompuBox's 40-year resume statistics, they've never had fewer punches than that Canelo Skull fight in a 12-round title fight in the whole of 40 years of CompuBox. It's staggeringly poor that those 4 fights didn't deliver. I mean, you could say Tio delivered in a certain way. To be fair to him, it was a good performance.
That's why I didn't mention him. Said that's why I didn't mention him.
Yeah, I mean, Tio didn't listen to his corner at all, but he was still brilliant in his movement and his balletic skills as a boxer. But you've got to say that, taking nothing away from Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney were very disappointing. Ryan Garcia looked like a shell of himself, and Devin Haney looked gun shy. And they were being paid big bucks. I mean, I've read and it's been reported 20 million and 10 million respectively. But there's people who I've spoken to since who poured scorn on that, Americans who are close to it, and it wasn't as big as that. But I know Canelo was very well paid in Riyadh.
Dominic, he said that. He obviously used the example of Amir Khan. He said that era of fighter were willing to earn their wins no matter what they're getting paid, whether it's 100 grand or 10 million. But the era now we live in is changed because of social media, etc. That's what he tried to say, where people are just trying to make as much as they can for the least amount of risk possible.
Yeah, I mean, Amir Khan took $8 million for that fight, I think, or earned. It was a horrible gamble. I remember speaking to Virgil Hunter privately in his gym in Oakland when I went to see him and Amir in the build up to that, and he said, "I really don't want him to take this fight. I fear for him," and it was founded as well with the results. I mean, he said Amir's got to do everything right for every second of every minute of every round to win that fight, and he was going well in that fight for 3 rounds, but His punches were bouncing off Canelo like wasps off a windscreen on the motorway. And Canelo just started to load up, and you could see it coming. And thankfully, Amir didn't take a beating. He just got viciously knocked out. But I think Canelo was something like 20 pounds heavier than him in the ring, and it just shows that those fights, you've got to be careful. And again, this applies to Ben and Eubank, the juniors, that Chris Eubank Jr., even though he had to get chronically dehydrated, he was still probably well over a stone heavier than Conor Benn. It's a bit like Kell Brook as well. Look at the damage he suffered against Gennady Golovkin. Welterweight to middleweight, or welterweight to almost super middleweight. Canelo was still a big guy when he fought Amir Khan, but he obviously weighed in at middleweight. But I don't think there was a rehydration clause that kept him down at a certain weight. I remember writing about it at the time. If I'm right in thinking, I think he was over 20 pounds heavier than Amir when they stepped into the ring. But I don't disagree with Dom. Fighting's changed, but it's also changed in the last couple of years with the amount of money that Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians have invested into certain events. And it's not going to be there forever. So I don't blame any of those guys for taking while the money's available.
Last thing I want to speak to you about, Gareth. We saw Ayman Khan got a good interview with John Fury the other day, and then the biggest talking point in that interview was where John Fury went into Sugar Hill. I don't need to repeat what he said, but in a nutshell, he basically said he's not the right man for Tyson Fury and gave out the wrong instructions, and he's never trained Tyson properly. And I think he also made reference to the Klitschko's, basically saying if he was that good, Emmanuel Stewart would have, they would have gone to Sugar after Emmanuel passed away, but they didn't. Quite strongly worded statements. What did you make of that?
Well, John's entitled to his view, of course, isn't he? It's his son, so he's got his best interests at heart. I don't necessarily agree with him. If Tyson wasn't happy with Sugar Hill Stewart, he can make his own decision. He's a grown man, isn't he? But John has opinions on it. I saw, just to deflect it slightly, to another thing that John said, which is that there's no point in Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua fighting. Did you see that as well? And that they should think about retiring. I disagree with him. I still think it's a massive fight, a commercial behemoth, but it's a boxing match I'd like to see. We've almost lost the Wilder Joshua fight from the era, even though a little bit of me just thinks that fight might sneak into a ring somewhere if Wilder knocks out Herndon in wherever it is, late June, I think it is, in Wichita, Texas. And Joshua could just have a fight with Wilder, get back in the win column, and then fight Tyson Fury. The marketability of both men is still enormous. It would cross over. It's a mainstream fight, not a purist fight anymore in boxing. But I would love to see the fight still. If Tyson doesn't want to be trained by Sugar Hill Stewart, then he would make his own mind up on that. John's got very strong opinions about his sons. Obviously, he's been in the news recently with training Roman and Tommy in their comeback in Hungary, in his comeback in Hungary. And he's just given his opinion. I don't, Sugar Hill Stewart has overseen, is it 1, 2, 3, 4 of his fights now? 2 Wilder fights. I think it's 2 Wilder fights and 2 Usyk fights, and he hasn't performed too badly in any of them. Usyk is a very difficult guy to beat. I think Dubois will find it difficult to beat him, even though he's got a much better chance than he did in August 2023. But I mean, what am I going to do? Disagree with the father of Tyson Fury, who I know very well and who knows his boxing? It's just his opinion. I don't agree with him, because if Tyson didn't want to, maybe it's because John wants to be in his corner training him. Maybe that's the reason, and he's putting it out there to his son that I'm available.
What did you make of, John also suggested that it was his instructions that stopped Tyson from being knocked out by, telling him to box on the outside, keeping it along. What did you think of that?
What, in the second fight?
Yeah. No, the first fight. I think he was
In the
referring
first
to
fight? John wasn't out there. Was John there for the second fight?
No, it was the first fight he was at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was all that stuff about too many voices in the corner towards the end, but Tyson Fury definitely needed advice in what was a very close fight. I do sit winning that first one by a round. Some people had it by two or three, but I had it by a round. Um, no, John's got good advice. I mean, there's no disputing that. He knows his boxing. And I think they're being very sensible with the other boys as well, with the other lads, his sons. What do I make of it? I don't. I don't. I've talked boxing many times with John, and I find his opinions to be very valid on the sport. Um, and if he feels that he gave the right opinion in the corner, then that's his entitlement. And maybe he's suggesting that he should be training his son and no one else. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Last question I've got for you on that. If Tyson does change trainers, give me a list of three trainers you think that would probably suit him for a potential Anthony Joshua fight.
John Fury, clearly, Dominic Ingle, and Andy Lee.
Good picks. Good picks. Imagine all three of them.
Yeah, there you go. It might be.
That's it, Gareth. I'm sure the fans will enjoy your Q&A at the start.
Cheers. I've had three tiny little tequilas while we've been chatting. It's been lovely to chat to you. We should do this more often.
Yep, it's been a while, mate, and hopefully we'll try and keep in touch.